Marilyn Monroe, a renowned speaker and author, says that sometimes good things fall apart so that better things can fall together. My name is Nahawe Charity, very passionate about leadership, grooming leaders to take up their spaces in the marketplace, in the business world, so they're able to influence this nation and the world at large. I'd like to talk about a book called Who Moved My Cheese. I must confess, I didn't read the physical book, but I got an animated version of it. 16-minute video. You'll find the link just right below. So this book is by Dr. Spencer Johnson. Yes, and the foreword was done by Blanchard Kenneth, who wrote the 1 Minute Manager. If you've read that book, it's an interesting book as well. So what happens is that in this book, there are four characters. There are two little mice and two human beings. The two little mice were called Sniff and Scurry, and the two little human beings were Hem and How. So what happens that every morning these four characters would put their shoes around their neck, and they would run in a maze looking for cheese. And so this one time they come across cheese station C. There's so much cheese in there. Now Hem and How knew that this cheese would never get done. And so they threw away their shoes and thought cheese will always be cheese and will always be there. But a time reached and the cheese got done. Sniff and Scurry, they thought to themselves, cheese is just cheese. They moved on, running to look for other cheese. And remember, for them, they already prepared. They had their shoes along their neck all the while the cheese was there. So what happens is that when Hem and How come back later and find the cheese gone, the challenge is that they refuse to believe that reality. They instead try their level best to, hit the wall, thinking maybe the cheese is behind there. And so day in, day out, they were wasting time. Until Hem began to laugh and said, but how? How can we keep here? Let's move. But How kept on thinking, who moved my cheese? I need my cheese back. So Hem finally, failing to convince his friend, moved into the maze. And he began to run in the maze again. It felt good for him to run in the maze again. And so what happens is that failing to convince his friend, he put arrows for him. He began to, give him that just in case one time he ever feels the need to move. And so I'm not going to go to finish the whole story because I feel that I will spoil the story for you. Please go and look at the video just below the link. But one thing we need to embrace is change. Like we used to be told when we were growing up, if you don't embrace change, change will change you. The challenge is that you will evolve when it is too late. When a competitive world and people are moving, looking for these different cheeses, yeah, cheese here and there and cheese this. So if you don't position yourself to get what you really want, then you are most likely losing it. And when you lose it, you lose it to another party. Time is moving. The issue is not really about unity and another, because opportunities will always be there. But the time you have wasted failing to change, failing to move on, yeah, would then necessitate that sometimes you may even become obsolete. I'm reminded of a time during COVID. Those who are in businesses, you remember. Those who didn't evolve, those who didn't take on the new technologies, those who didn't take on some of the things that were trending then, ended up missing out on businesses. Some actually, I remember, many teachers crossed over from teaching into business, which was a very interesting transition. But they're actually doing very well in business now, and some actually completely abandoned that, that role that they were doing of teaching children. So they began to think out of the box. And so I believe this is a good book for you to go for. Please kindly look at that video if you like it. Share what you've understood from it, but also if you can get the physical book, better still. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to hearing from what you have been able to pick from this book, yeah, and the video.